Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Hello, I'm David Ladd, and welcome to the CoCo Nation Show.
Hello, everybody. Boy, time sure flies when you're working a problem.
Right?
Goes into time warp. Okay. We are here. Let's see who joined us today. This is episode 315 of the CoCo Nation Show. Winging it. Also known as the Ken Waters Show. It's all Ken all day. All right, let's see. Let's see who's joined the Ken on the panel today. We got, first off, I need to flip this switch over here so that everyone's at the same view. All right, first up, we got Rick Euland.
Morning, folks. We're here.
All right. And next up, the star of the show, Ken Waters.
Welcome to my show.
And yours truly over here, Button Pusher. Next up, we got Sloopy Malibu.
Greetings, and hopefully this satisfies our Canadian content for the CBC.
At least we got one.
With the big shirt.
I'm
the other way, Rick.
Oh, really? Okay.
And center square, we have Rick Adams.
Hello, everybody.
Yay.
And let's
Hail,
see.
President Adams.
Next up, Ron Delvaux.
Hello, and Sloopy, yes, that was a cool link you sent me. Thank you.
And let's see, Bob Emery, you're up next.
Coconut Bob here. How is it going?
Doing good. Let's see, we got David Ladd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Please sit, stay a while, enjoy the show that's following.
Well, of course we are. We
And
can't leave.
last-
We're down.
And last but not least, Alan.
Howdy, everyone.
And
How's the exile going?
Well, at least it's paradise.
And missing this week, we got Curtis and Marco.
Blackers.
Both had more important things to do today.
Reality interrupts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, we have no lives.
Yeah. Well, we all got to take a break once in a while. So, let's see.
This is the life part. That work thing all week is the not life part.
Mhm. Let's see. That was introductions. Project updates. Do we have any acquisitions or project updates? Where's Brian Weasler when you need him?
Anticipation
of our short show, I started my print early, so this week's case top is already at the infill of the first layer stage. So we'll see if it gets done before the show completes or not. It's going to be a race. It's pretty close this time.
Doesn't look like it's moving.
Are we taking bets?
I just took a picture before the show started. This is where we were at. This is the head start I gave it because it's going to be a short show. We got no foil.
Now, Rick, you don't lean in too close, do you? With that beard you got.
I don't want to get melted to the stupid case. That would be bad.
Yeah.
It's a feature.
What's them gray hairs in there?
Hey,
Okay.
wasn't it you that was showing us that little pen that melts the PLA?
Yeah, it does. It actually melts ABS as well, which is the plastic that every injected molded thing is made from.
You think you got enough filament there?
Temporarily. The other one's down because it's out of black.
That's a pretty big reel.
Well, he's got a bigger one in the garage. It's the size of the car.
It's big so far. I chew through them pretty quick with all I do the connect projects and side projects. I go through some filament. That's why I have 2 printers, because if one dies, I would be really hurting if I didn't have a backup. So
Well, at least you got 50% production.
Yeah, the only reason why I even have filament is because I haven't been printing anything.
ooh, you may not have filament. You may have filament looking brittle plastic.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get into 3D printing once. I don't have the maturity or the patience for it.
Was a saga.
Wait a
Oh, it
minute
was.
now.
Right?
Don't you have to wait till the thing prints? I mean, you don't have patience to wait 12 hours for something to print?
Well, I don't have patience to have it fail again and again and again. And
Getting a thing to
fiddle with
print
things.
it's an
Yeah.
art. It's not science
What?
yet.
That's what super glue's for.
Well,
Right.
waiting for something to 3D print is kind of like waiting for something to download when we had dial-up. I mean,
Hmm.
It's about
Well,
right.
The printer that Rick got, I remember this well because it was fairly well documented on the Discord. The printer that he got was apparently possessed by the devil, and it had gone into full evil, can we destroy Rick's mind mode long before the test rabbit print even finished. Yeah, it was.
I did do the rabbit. The rabbit was fine. Everything after that was not fine, but we probably don't have time to talk about all this right now.
Don't worry,
Plenty of time.
replicators are coming. Just hang on.
Right? They're just a little slow so far.
That's right.
All right. I have one more to add to the
Uh-huh.
product reception area. If you look at Patrick Euland's shirt for a second, see it? All right. Then all I have to say is I got a product from these retro rerun guys, and there it is right there in my screen. If you would switch it to me, there you
Come
go.
on, mouse. There we go.
There it is.
oh, the
the
diagnostic
diagnostics.
cartridge.
Nice.
Yay! And
Nice.
it does work, and it's and I think it's like that printer. You have to wait for the larger memory you have, the longer it takes to.
Also
Figure out if
purveyors
you
of
have good
such
memory.
fine products as the
Ah.
CoCo STC backup
It's
source.
just like that little bunny. They're everywhere.
That's right.
Doesn't everyone have one of these cartridges?
Well, actually, we do have the older version, don't we? Most all
Is
of
that,
us.
I always wanted to know, is that label vinyl or paper on there?
It's paper.
Oh, okay.
Well, spill
I think-
coffee on it, and it'll tell you right away.
They sell these. I think it's vinyl. I'm trying to figure out how he got this label to stick here where it's at, because it should scrape off and it doesn't. So I want to know what magic is going on here.
Yeah, it's paper.
Has anyone said
Not-
where this came from? Like, Canada
It looks
or anything?
looks like plastic paper.
Retro Rewind. He's in Toronto, Canada. So
There you go.
he's a great source for any of us Canadians to get stuff from, because we don't have to pay the
Right.
exuberant prices to bring anything across the border.
So if I buy an STC there, it costs more, but if you buy an STC there, it costs less because of the
Yeah.
cross
Well,
border.
like when I bought the Zipster Zones SDC before Retro Rewind was selling them, I think it was worked out to like 85 Canadian dollars, and I think I had to pay $75 to get it across the border.
Oh, Jesus.
75. What do they have? 100% markup?
Pretty much on any electronics. Yeah,
And
they
if you watch,
hose you.
if you watch the
Yeah.
ticker going across the screen, you'll see the discount code on retrorewind.ca.
Yes.
the
and
The code is WEFAX.
Take a drink.
and just so you know, in order to be able to use the code, it's all uppercase, and you have to have an account on the Retro Rewind shop and be logged into it.
Do you have to wear a purple shirt?
No.
And as Commodore Chronicles is saying, that the Retro Rewind will be at Boat Fest this year again, for anybody that's going. So, yeah, you'll have a table there for fixing stuff if you bring it to, if you're going to Boat Fest. Which
Just doesn't sound right, does it? I mean,
what, Boat Fest?
No, taking an electronic part to a boat fest.
It does anymore.
Doesn't. Not,
I can't wait to see what kind of boats they have on display there. I'm looking forward to that.
I used to
El
go to
Dorado 74.
I went to a boat fest once in Detroit at Cobo Hall, but didn't bring any electronics.
This is a slightly different Boat Fest, put on by Boat of Car John Scholler of Amigos,
who is a slightly different boat, no less.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to Boat Fest. I can't go to Boat Fest because I only have a small car.
Right, he'd put it in the trunk and take it away, and you'd never see it again.
Yeah, if you had a 73 Chrysler like he has, you can put 5 people in the trunk.
And Amigos is saying that everybody should be going to Boat Fest. So come on, guys, put it together, get it together.
They get there.
When it comes to the Impala instead.
You know, when it comes to boats, I'd rather a 68 Chrysler Newport.
There you go.
Actually, since Amigos is in the chat, are there many tickets left for Boat Fest? Because there is a limited amount of seating at the show this year. And we'll just wait for the delay to go through so that they can answer.
Yeah, really. Why aren't they answering?
Or do we have to bring buy some tickets to the Fireman's Ball?
Oh, and speaking of boats and 3D printing, hey, Rick, be glad your rabbit came out. I tried to print that little boat that they make for 3D prints, and it was taken over by pirates.
And yes, there are still tickets available.
That little boat sketchy is designed to be impossible to print. That's why it exists.
Yeah.
It's supposed.
Yeah, it was taken over by
it's deliberately made to be like, if you can print this thing out, you are hot.
Exactly.
You are good stuff.
Which they called it sketchy, which I didn't get the real emphasis until later. It's not a sketch, it's sketchy.
Yeah.
Aptly named, huh? And let's see, we have a late arrival, Nick Parentes. How you doing today?
Hey, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Just woke up.
All right. Well, we appreciate
it's 2 in the afternoon.
4 o'clock in the morning.
I was visiting a friend and he said, oh, I hear you're into 3D printing. Such a deal I have for you. Here's my 3D printer that I am sick and tired of trying to get to work properly. I'll give it to you for free. And I said, oh, look at the time.
Rick, you could have sent it to me.
True.
They hold dust quite well.
Nice stable surface to put things on.
I printed this behind me. No.
So I've also posted a link in the chat if anybody is interested in Boat Fest tickets. So
okay, cool. Any other project updates? Goodness, Sloopy, what is that?
That is a marble run.
That's pretty cool.
Be pretty a small marble though.
Yeah, well, I printed it at quarter size first to make sure everything would go right before I actually printed it full size.
Well, now you just need a little ball bearing to put in there.
Right. The only problem is that there is so much stringing inside the things that ball bearings don't go down it too smoothly. They do go down it, but not too smoothly. But the best thing that I ever printed was I was actually able to print 4 of these and it's like a little container.
Come on,
Right.
Zoom, get over there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, what's that do?
All printed at once, right? So it's just,
Yes, it's all
Oh,
printed.
that's crazy.
That is neat.
And
It's an
Exactly.
alien. It's an egg from the Alien show.
Exactly what
Right.
function does that do?
well, I use it for holding ICs.
That's
But-
dead parts.
So
bin?
you just wanted to make it CoCo related? Is that what you did?
No, I use it for holding stuff. I made 4 of them. 3 of them actually work.
Are they for sale?
No.
I
That's
wish I had it close. I printed, the stupidest thing I ever printed was a strange device. If you hold it at one angle, it makes like a triangle.
Yep.
You know, the optical illusion thing. So a device that requires a 3D printer to print, so you can print it with a 2D printer so you can see the illusion. Is what it ended up being.
Now,
yeah, I got some of those.
does
those-
anyone or has anyone printed out one of those clocks that you can set out in the sun and it'll do a digital display? That's cool.
Yeah, those
I'd like
are really
to see one of
cool.
those.
Yeah,
It's in the attic. I'll have it out next week.
All right. Well, in the attic, so that it keeps good time that way.
Well, it's in the shade though. Yeah, those are really cool though. The numbers just kind of change for no apparent reason. I really like that.
Yeah, I
So-
printed out a couple of those puzzle things where you have to you have pieces that go together and make different things. Like I have one that's Taurus and it's like a bunch of rings and they pop apart and it's like you've got all these rings all interconnected and you're like, how do I get that back together?
You print a new one.
Yeah. I also
60
have it's a pyramid and it's just 2 pieces that the way they go together and they just like twist in a special way and then all of a sudden it's like you have these 2 weird shapes and all of a sudden you have a pyramid.
In the chat, 60 is asking how PLA behaves for static. How does it dissipate or hold static?
I haven't had any problems with it with static.
Oh, it's corn.
And Brian, yes, the boat is called Benchy.
Yeah, bad ram.
Here, let me see here. Oh yeah, I also built.
Yeah. PLA doesn't charge up. It's like it's not petroleum, so I
Here's
guess
a,
maybe that's what counts.
Arm I built for my camera or printed.
So Rick, can you explain a little bit more about static electricity in printers?
So what?
Static
Well-
electricity in printers. Did they have a problem with that in the early days or what?
Well, like PVC will charge up, so you can make a charge by rubbing on PVC. But
Yeah.
PLA doesn't seem to do that. So when you store stuff in a PLA box, it doesn't. I don't think you're endangering anything. Is what I think.
So you have you thought about like printing a capacitor of some kind or?
we need precision. The printers aren't precise. They're good enough to make a box, but like they're so rough that I don't have to make an attachment system for my upper and lower case halves. I just make them the same size and they friction fit together and sort of and they're stuck together. It's that imprecise, so you ain't making anything.
All right. Well, that was a sidetrack.
Right? Hey, gotta
Sorry.
get that part done while I'm here to watch it.
Welcome to 3D print talk.
Yeah. Any other acquisitions or updates? I guess not.
No, but I sure would like new stuff.
Right?
Is it true that the Cocoa Pie is no longer going to be a 3B item anymore?
No. They're working on doing the 64-bit stuff. You can see some of the progress
Yeah.
in the Discord channel. But as far as I know, no one said anything about discontinuing the 3 or 3B. It's just that right now, whatever recent changes were made to MAME have made compiling it for the 3B a little bit more problematic. I know Ron was working on it.
So are you hinting that like it might be a Raspberry Pi 4 only thing?
in the future, I guess.
Well, the
Oh, okay.
3 also supports the 64-bit mode. I run mine in 64-bit mode. So it's more of a just figuring out how to get all the Cocoa Pi build stuff to work with the 64-bit version of the Pi 3 stuff, which he hasn't been supporting. He's been doing 64-bit for the Pi 4 only and the Pi 3 in 32-bit. But he's looking at stepping the Pi 3 up to the 64-bit to simplify the build process. But it's tricky. So he's still working on it.
Won't you have to have a cryogenic cooler on the 3B if you if you run it in 64?
If by
Right.
cryogenic cooler you mean little 1-inch powered right off the GPIO ports, yeah,
Yeah,
I recommend that anyway.
we ought to get that
Right.
little lightning strike for running it too long with a Cocoa Pi.
I actually I forgot I had bought this stupid thing. Check it out. Here's the 4 with its cooler
Oh,
to get by. I found this unassuming box sitting in my, oh yeah, I did buy that, didn't I?
Yeah, they
So I
really
made it-
sell it with the box, don't they?
Right? And and then I bought the requisite
Yeah.
HDMI mini
Bigger than the
cable.
actual card.
And then forgot I owned it through the whole Pi crisis. I could have made
Oh,
$300 off this stupid thing.
is the Pi crisis over yet?
I think so. I think
Sort
they're
of. They're
pretty
much.
starting
That was
to
crazy.
go back up in small quantities, and the prices are coming back to something that's not nosebleed astronomical. But you still sometimes end up getting stuck in a queue or a line.
I guess meringue is expensive these days.
right. Right.
But yeah, so Cocoa Pi, lots of updates are in progress. You can follow it along in the Cocoa Pi channel on the Discord or ping Ron Klein directly.
So like 2 years from now, let's say you didn't do any updates and you want to do an update. So it would probably take as long as it takes to print out something with your printer.
Yes. It would probably be better if you waited for 2 years. I would just take out the current SD card and put in a new blank one and just write a whole new image. and
There you
call it
go.
done.
Start over again.
But doesn't it, when you do updates, it does take out the old one, doesn't it? And then put in the new one,
Yeah,
replace
he
it.
does clean up the old stuff
Yeah.
as updates.
So it's really not necessary then, right?
Well, but you're doing a whole lot of intermediate patching and replacing when you could just chuck the whole thing and start from the top and get a nice
But-
clean copy. And
I don't know who Chuck is, so I don't know.
well, yeah, chuck him then.
Oh,
Okay, that was Pi Nation, and now
All right. If that's all the project updates, what do you say we do our first commercial and then go on to the Ken show, to the Ken Waters show?
Groovy.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Ken Show.
we're trying.
So I
for
can get
4
coffee,
hours.
you're saying?
Yes, you'll have a couple minutes for coffee. Okay, I gotta hit this button, then this button. We'll be right back.
The CoCo Nation Show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCo Nation Show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCo Nation.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCo Nation Show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
The CoCo Nation Show would like to thank the following patrons: Alex Gayer, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Kieran Anscombe, Daddy Burrito, Diego BF109, Dinty's Hideaway, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Grant Leedy, John Boat of Carshaller, Henry Strickland, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Mike Rayburn, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, Terry Steege, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., Tony C., and William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons.
Shows featuring Sloopy.
Welcome everybody to the CoCo Nation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Willie's Warehouse. We had a total of 13 participants. We had Ron Delvaux with a score of 0. Mr. Dave 6309, 18,100. Jim Rye, 26,300. Rich N, 31,100. 8 Bits in the Basement, 31,700. Sloopy Malibu, 38,000. Coconut Bob, 55,000. Canadian Retro Things, 62,600. Shenley, 78,700. L. Curtis Boyle, 111,000. Sabhead, 172,200. Buck Owens, 206,500. And the number one score this week was Tasman with 217,700. Thanks to everybody that played. We'll see you again next week.
It's great being on top.
Awesome, pretty good scores there. But before I jump into that, I have to make a retraction about last week's stuff. Apparently, when I made up the score sheet last week for Shaft, I accidentally gave Shenley the Shaft. I wrote his score down as 4,260, where it was actually 14,260. So he should have actually been in first place. So
wow.
I'm sorry. That is my retraction for last week's Shaft game. I did not mean to give Shenley the Shaft.
50 lashings of the wet noodle.
Okay.
He's got a spot on our show now, though.
Did you mail the refund check yet?
It's in the mail.
Right.
That would be Canadian Post, right? We'll never.
Yeah. So it'll be a while.
So it'll come postage due.
And Kenneth's tire dollars.
Yes, but unlike UPS, it'll actually get there.
This is true. Okay, so for let's see, for what game did we play? Willie's Warehouse, right. Let's see. What am I looking for here? I know I've got a window here. There we go. Okay, so Rainbow, February of 85, we got a high score from Willie's Warehouse of 93,700. So I would say this person definitely did not cheat, since our high score this week more than doubled that. So
Are you saying some people cheat?
sometimes when the scores are submitted here, I think there's a good possibility that some people cheated on them.
You mean like the Zaxxon just below it?
Yeah, 2 million on Zaxxon. I think that might have been a difficult score to get.
It's funny that it's right there next to it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely often been some very suspect scores submitted for these games, but I would say this is definitely not one of them. And then October 84 of Rainbow did a review of Willy's Warehouse. Basically said it's an exciting game from Intracolor, and then went through and went very in-depth on how to play the game. And finally, near the end of the review, talked about how it's enjoyable and could become very habit-forming. Every 5 levels, you get a bonus screen with just where you have to fill as many orders as possible within a time limit. The 3-page documentation is very complete. The game is well done. And for some reason, this reviewer could not obtain the intended screen colors. So I don't know if they just didn't hit reset enough or what, but.
So was this a simulator for Amazon?
Yeah, there you go.
It was getting people ready
preparing people for when they, in our old age, we all have to get jobs with Amazon to pay the bills. So the graphics are nicely done, and it's a good game to add to your library. And then in the Hot Cocoa August of 84, basically saying that Intracolor never misses, and Willy's Warehouse is no exception. It's an original and addicting game. Playing with the joystick is much more effective than the keyboard. The graphics and sound are superb. Very high playability rating, and the progression of the difficulty is at a really good pace, and things never slow down enough to bore you. So this reviewer also liked this game.
Hey, Ken, do they ever mention whether or not they use Black Beauty or the other kind of controller?
Actually, in
Like
one of those
rarely, or-
reviews, the person did say they played it with the deluxe joystick, but very rarely do they mention that, unless there's a reason to have it. Sometimes they'll talk about you need the deluxe joystick for the self-centering.
Oh.
But usually they don't mention, they just will mention whether it's joystick or keyboard. So, did anybody else play the game? We did mention last week about the getting a better score. A good trick is to, especially on the earlier levels, keep knocking that little guy that's behind the girders off with a box. But did anybody else have any you know what I'm trying to say, tips or tricks?
Yeah. Keep pushing the guy off the back to make bigger points.
Oh, you know, I think I've heard that one before.
Yeah. Also, you may want to make sure that you take a box and put it on the right side, because the little things that go whoop, 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 whoop on your platform, they'll get you caught over there. And if you take the box you have, fill an order, you're going to be stuck with him over the side, over blocking you from getting back to more boxes, and then you'll be in a very bad situation.
Yeah, always keep a reserve box on the right. So, and Ron, how exactly do you score 0 in this game?
There was not, it wasn't really very hard at all. I put the game in, I got it to come up. I played through it, and it ended, and then it looked like the very beginning again. And I thought, well, oh, there's my score then. I don't have to put my name in or anything. So I did the screen print, put it where it was supposed to go, and I made the top of the list, and I'm happy. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Although, top of the list is the bottom, but
yeah,
failed to say that.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
You're always the first person we mention when you play, Ron.
Yeah, thank you very much. No charge at all.
So does anybody else have anything to say about Willy's Warehouse before we stick a fork in it?
I didn't get to play this particular round, but one thing I really like about that particular game is the presentation. The background they put a lot of effort into giving you that cool 3D effect, which really helps.
Yeah.
And, they still got all their stuff moving over it and things like that. But I mean, it takes what could have been a fairly uninteresting looking game and really puts it up there.
Yeah. Even though it's a static background, it's not a boring static background.
Yeah.
It's so much better than it has a right to look. It really is.
Yep. So I think they definitely, this is a game that they put a lot of effort into making it look good. So one of those games where it looks good and the gameplay is good. Not like some other systems that make games that really, really look good and have real crap gameplay.
Right.
I'm not mentioning any names.
Commodore. There was a question in the Discord about when the numbers on the left get all the way to the bottom, that kills you.
Yeah.
And it's maybe that wasn't clear or anything like that, but yeah, that's if the conveyor belt gets an item all the way past, then you lose your guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people were saying that it seemed like just the level just ended randomly
killing you. And
yeah,
I think did we have a reading of the instructions, Mark? I can't remember.
No. Well,
no, we didn't.
So.
No, we did not.
Oh,
I don't
Mark,
think
you were
anyone
slacking.
ever found any instructions.
Oh, okay. That we'll let you pass on this one then, Mark.
Okay.
So if there's no instructions, can we have a dramatic random reading?
There you go.
Just make up some instructions.
Just read the instructions from the back of a toothpick.
As long as we're actually on the air.
Well,
that's true.
Requisite, right?
Hey, that only happened once.
I was a victim of circumstance.
But yeah, I think we did read in one of the review. I read in one of the reviews or something about how the if the boxes go past, then it kills you.
So it really is like Amazon then.
Yeah, basically. This actually we should resell this game to Amazon as a training simulator.
That one and there's this other one with a forklift and bombs.
Oh yeah.
If we could combine Willie's warehouse bomb threat would be awesome.
Willie's bomb threat.
The people that scored high on this game would work best at this Amazon.
Yeah, this is our aptitude test for the CoCo about what you should do with your life, and I guess it's Tasman and Buck Owens should work at Amazon.
And I should.
My favorite comment on bomb threat was the person who said, "Look, if I'm on a job and there's bombs around, I'm out of here, bro."
Now that's no dedication to your work.
They called it capitalism, the game.
So if Daggerath is your game, what would the job counselor say you should be doing with your life?
A professional splunker. Okay, so I guess the other game that we played this week and we'll be playing next week is Newbert, and I also have an announcement to make about that was sent to me by Tasman. Apparently, it turns out that Newbert is actually a hacked version of Qubit, and Qubit is on the archive, and basically the difference is Qubit runs a little bit faster. So for the next week, scores from either of those games, Newbert or Qubit, will be accepted. So, Sloopy, you were correct during the show on Thursday to call the game Qubit. I was wrong to correct you.
I didn't know. I just know that I had heard both names. Well, both. I heard of both games. I didn't realize that they were the same thing. So
that's why the title screen on Newbert is all screwed up, because somebody hacked it.
So this is episode 315. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 315 Ken apologizes for everything.
I'm sorry, Mr. Boyle isn't here.
Hey, he had it wrong on his site too. He never mentioned about it being
Oh.
a hacked version of Qubit.
Well then.
So have to get after him about that
And
too.
here he sits quietly. You think he'll watch the show?
Oh,
not if he's
he'll
smart.
listen to it. I think probably.
Yeah, we should probably
So
be.
make fun of him as much as you want.
I take everything back
Why?
because it's the 315 I'm sorry show.
All right. Well, so basically, Qubit or Newbert is Qbert. So if you've played Qbert, then you know how to play this game. I don't think there's much to be said about it. There's not really any kind of tips or tricks for that. If you know how to play Qbert, there you go.
What's the best control setup for this one?
I would say joystick. I tried it with the keyboard and it is very confusing. I never did figure out the keyboard, but I think Mark, you said you figure out keyboard on it.
No, I was using one of those.
Oh, okay.
For pretty fair success.
Because you do actually, it works best if you can go into the diagonals on your joystick for jumping. Because, yeah.
I got a unconventional question for the gamer section of our show. If you had monochrome back in the day, like some of us had, either black and white or maybe a color, one color.
Green.
Are there any games that, are there any games that you really couldn't play very well because of the, if you were playing monochrome, there wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to? It's probably a tough question to ask them, but if you're if you're
Games-
a gamer guy, you might know.
Games that tried to do artifacting would end up with off-centered stripes instead of colors. And you could sort of see what was going on by the off-centered stripes when they were right on top of each other. But then when they divided, they were just stripy things that you couldn't tell the blue from the green, so to speak.
And all of my monochrome gaming was actually on the Apple II, and it actually worked out quite well on there because you just had different gradiences of the green screen, and it was a lot clearer than the color, so it was easier to tell the difference between the different shades of the green as compared to different colors. So I never had any problems myself on the Apple, but I never tried a color computer on just black and white. So
would that be a cool show sometime?
It'd be interesting.
It's monochrome night.
would a monochrome television versus a monochrome monitor be easier or harder to use because the blurring would give you grays instead of just stripes? And would the grays be different, or would they be? Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to try.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, now to try and find a couple of monochrome monitors that are TVs, and monitors to try this out on.
Of similar quality, and yeah,
I have a VM1 or whatever it's called. The green, and I don't think it reproduces all the gradients.
You're going to make me spend more money on trying to get a hold of these monitors, aren't you?
Sure you are.
There's a video in it.
There's definitely sounds like there's a video in that.
Yeah, next week we're going to see Ken Waters with a green screen, his face all green, with his.
Well, I wouldn't want to do the last
colors
ninja
missing.
on that. Of course, I wouldn't want to do the last ninja on anything.
I mean, you can go on the switcheroo and just put it into RGB when it should be composite, and then you get the black and white anyway. So
is it composite or is it composite?
Depends on what part of Canada you live in.
Right.
Would you say it's not NTSB?
Thought it was compost dip.
That's just being environmental.
I'm just wondering,
Monday mornings, my wife does that.
Where do they put the U in composite?
Right?
Now we're trying to spell it in our head.
Where would you put the U?
The Canadian spelling of composite, whatever you want to call it.
P-O-U.
Do they put it up?
T-I-N-E.
No, that's one of the words we didn't add a U to. Actually, no, wait.
Amazing,
It's
but
actually the Americans that took the U's out of everything because we use the old Queen's English. So you guys took the U's out of a lot of words.
I think all the gangsters needed them back in the old days. See you guys.
Isn't it the King's English now?
I suppose it would be.
Although, yeah, I guess, but when you're
But
talking
only
about it,
for-
you're talking
takes-
about
Only
Take
for
some-
a couple
yeah.
of months.
Right.
There's no I in the word us.
I don't know. I'm so confused.
But there
Okay,
is
well-
the word win.
Shall we move on to the
We shall.
Thursday night gameplay?
Too many holes in this one.
Oh,
All right. Well, Sloopy, how would you like to talk about Thursday night's show? Since I wasn't there.
so our show this week must be from India.
Why do you say that?
It's off the rails.
Oh, gee.
I can't hear
Too
Sloopy
soon.
talking.
Too
Oh,
soon.
was he supposed to be talking?
Sloopy's supposed to be talking. He looks like he's talking, but we've lost his voice.
Well, that's because I was trying to do everyone a favor and enjoy the show by putting my mute on.
Ah,
But if you want the mute off, I can do that too.
let's have your segment with the mute off.
Give it a shot.
Aw.
Didn't we have a Coco talk like that one time?
Yes, but we have 30% better viewership ratings with the mute on. Which makes you wonder, why would they even be watching in the first place? But yeah, this past Thursday we had Willie's Warehouse and Newbert, or Cubit, as some people call it, and it was pretty popular. We had up to 5 people playing. We are hopefully getting more players to come. Why aren't you there? And hopefully it will continue to grow. And one day I will get my Discord to stop crashing. As you can see, there was one certain Canadian game player that was missing from most of our show, but
Hey, I was there at the beginning.
we're not going to call him out on that.
Sure you are. I was at a football game. I'm sorry.
What kind of football?
CFL,
Compact flash fluorescent.
Canadian Football League.
Oh,
So
you're
the regular kind of football where you run with it.
oh, where you use your feet with the ball in your hand.
Yes,
Yes.
you don't use your feet on the ball.
See, I was at the other kind of football the night before,
Ah,
the Whitecaps.
They have to do something when the ponds melt.
See, we play the real gridiron football up here where you only have 3 downs to get the
Right.
10 yards.
well, that's because they're also polite and they're like, oh, by all means, you only have a few more yards. Please go ahead, take those extra few yards. Here in the US, we're like, nah. You want that extra 2 yards, you gotta earn it.
Well, not anymore. If you fair catch anywhere pretty much on the field, you can
Yeah.
stay there.
And their
We also
meters are no
don't have the
longer
fair
anyway.
catch rule, which is hilarious to watch new American players when they come up to play and they try to do the fair catch and they just get bam.
But it's only a 60-foot playing field, so.
Well,
Actually,
you can
our-
only
our-
get thrown.
Our field is 10 yards longer than yours.
I don't know what a fair
And-
catch is, but I'm not sure I want to know.
Is that in order to put the big nets on either side?
But
Does the cubic game actually switch into P mode 3 color during the game, not just the explosion, but the
Now,
game
Nick-
itself?
Nick, why would you want to talk about the game in progress here?
Oh,
Talking football. Okay.
Stay on topic.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it stays. I don't think it goes into P mode 3 unless you die.
yeah. So it's always a artifact colors game. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it looked pretty good when it was flashing in the explosion.
It
that's a
looks
game that
actually
looks-
pretty good as it is. I mean, it's fairly
Yeah,
close
but
to the original
It would
arcade
give
game.
more variety, I thought. But anyway,
That's
Yeah,
one of the
there-
games that would look better in P mode 3.
after you've died once, it just seems to change, and it's much harder to do. I did notice on later levels, like when you have to change the squares twice, that sometimes this was very difficult. When Curtis got up to, I don't remember if it was like rounds 5 or 6, maybe even 7. It looked like the entire screen was done, but the level wasn't ending. And evidently a couple of the things hadn't been changed, but you couldn't tell because the color and the pattern wasn't differentiated, so they all looked the same.
They all switched to monochrome for a minute.
Yeah. So that seems to be the only real issue with the game, other than the interesting controls.
That lightning mode thing, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anyone noticed, but this had some unusual and very interesting controls. Did anyone else notice that?
What did
Well,
it do?
you got to have your joystick in position before you hit the fire button, or you're jumping off the back.
Yeah, you have to put the joystick in position that you want to go, and then hit the fire button to go,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was interesting.
Looks like this is going to.
Well, not really. If you're using a Black Beauty, then it just making sure that you don't accidentally move by not centering the joystick properly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but when things get a little tense, like you've got Coily coming after you, that gets to be
Then you die.
a pain in the bits.
Yeah.
And then you get annoyed and you kick the bit bucket, and then you're in real deep fights.
You know, you put another hole in the wall with the joystick.
Right? Check out another one. This one's bent.
You got a good drywall guy, huh?
No, I've just got a lot of posters on the walls.
The red flamingo ones.
Yeah, my living room wall used to have 6 posters on it. If you remove one of them, there was a nice phone shaped hole in the wall.
Well, look at Rick. He's up to 17 geese.
So,
All right. Well, so anything else you wanted
Right.
to say, Sloopy, about?
yeah, we need to play better games.
I got a question about that logo there, MRP or whatever it is.
MRP, yeah, micro.
Why is it shifted?
That's
It's
that's
broken.
because of the hacking.
Yeah, evidently the hack that did the crack on the copper protection messed it up.
And so if you look at Qubit, it actually looks proper. So
Yeah. Which
that's why.
also,
Oh,
yeah, which also brings up the subject that Curtis said to make sure to mention. There is no original copies of Newbert around. So if someone has an original issue of Newbert, please contact
Except that I don't think there is an original because Newbert is a cracked version of
there is an
Cubit.
original. We think the Cubit was the original, and then Newbert. We're waiting to hear back from Mike to get a final determination. But if you do have an original Newbert disc, we would be interested. Either contact Curtis at L. Curtis Boyle, whatever his email address is, or one of the Game On Challenge staff, please.
Is there money involved?
Or just you could get a hold of Curtis on Discord as well.
Yes. There's no money involved, but we can guarantee that you'll get status and be well known, and we will give you a sacrificial virgin.
Gee,
Ooh.
I'm gonna get right on it.
You didn't say what species yet. No.
Nope. We haven't told you what species or sex, Ron. So
Yeah. Just don't poke holes in our bad jokes.
I guess it's better than staring at the wall, huh?
Boy, we're really on the lam tonight.
I see what you did there.
Come on, Mark. You get us out here.
Are you kidding me?
Oh boy.
Now, if you
Oh
play,
my God.
Okay.
if you play this game on Cocoa Pi and you got that little symbol flashing, you might want to cool off your machine because of the little lightning streaks there.
And don't submit a fixed copy of the crack and try to pull the wool over our eyes.
Oh, fix the title
Oh,
screen and
alrighty
say,
then.
yeah.
And I think enough bad puns.
Now, good puns.
Yes, we're just waiting for the good ones. Okay, so that is the Game On Challenge. When is the Game On Challenge happening, Sloopy, the live version? When can people join us? Where can they join us?
The same place that they can always join us on Thursdays, Eastern Standard Time within the U.S. at 8 p.m.
So it's different in Canada?
Yes, it is. It's like 4 hours later or earlier, 3 hours early.
Even the East Coast time zone in Canada is different than your guys's? I didn't know that.
I don't know. Yeah, actually, the easternmost time zone in Canada is 1 hour before Eastern U.S. time.
Well, isn't money cheaper here
Actually,
too?
it's an hour and a half because Newfoundland has their own half-hour time.
There you go. This week on Coco Trivia.
Yeah, it's those weird Canadians. They can't do anything right. I mean,
Hey, we're not the only ones that have half-hour time zones.
hey, at least you have time zones. Imagine being in China where it's just all one time zone.
I guess Ron can.
What?
I guess you can feel superior because no DST, so
Yeah,
little better.
but all right. I think we're gonna send it back to you. And what's next week's game?
Ooh, next week's game. Well, let me tell you, just as soon
I've
as I
been
close
waiting
this down.
for 2 weeks for this.
Okay,
Some version of Neutroid.
so
I'm filling
Oh,
in.
now that you brought it up.
I'm filling.
again, we are playing Newbert again, or Cubit, whichever you feel like playing it on. But we're also going to play, just because I decided I'm going to choose something I don't think a lot of people have played. Does anybody know what this game is?
I think it's a Bosconian.
Boyle's
It
Revenge.
is a version of Bosconian. And this is another one of those Inafuto games, so it can be played on any of the color computers, or it can also be played on the MC10. And that game is I don't know how to say it exactly, but Ruptus.
Ruptus.
So it's a Bosconian style game, and so it can be played on the MC10, Color Computer 1, 2, or 3, and they are available in the archive.
Oh.
So scores from all of them are okay, but if you're playing the MC10 version, just make sure that you list it as the MC10 version when you when you submit the score, because then we can keep track of the two different score tables, one for the CoCo and one for the MC10.
Can I also play it on my Model 1?
Can you play it on the Model 1? Is there a version?
I don't think so.
That's why I'm asking.
I have no idea. I mean, it's one of those games that's available on like 90 different...
You're not prepared?
I can't tell you exactly what all... Would you like me to give you a list of everything that it's available on?
You didn't memorize?
It's available on the VIC-20, the Commodore 64, the ColecoVision, the Color Computer 1, 2, 3, the MC10, the Atari 8-bit.
I'll play it on the Atom and then the Atari 8-bit and then...
And a whole crapload of Japanese computers, which I can't remember the names of at this point. MSX computers. But we're only accepting scores from the CoCo 1, 2, 3, or MC10.
Wouldn't it fit better with a monochrome night that we're going to have?
I have no idea. Oh, that's that for that.
Yay.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say, but shall we pass it over to me with the news?
Yeah, you want to do a commercial break first to refill your coffee?
Yeah.
Good idea.
Continue.
Cough twice, deep breath.
We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and I, like you, am a citizen of the CoCo Nation.
This is not the Joey cereal switch. This is the Joey cereal switch. Control up to 3 cereal devices. Order yours today at cocoman.biz.
The music is back. Only from Retro Innovations. Go the number 4 retro.com.
For many a year, peace has reigned throughout the realm. In the forest, nothing but ruins of an ancient fortress remain to fuel the myth of the evil wizard. Tales of your ancestors' quest are met with laughter. Mockery follows your warnings. But you know what awaits.
Are you ready? When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCo Nation News with L. Curtis Boyle.
With special news correspondents, Ken Waters.
Keeping it in Canada.
That's right. I had a better line thought out and I forgot what it was by the time the intro ended.
I guess I'm very forgettable. Cool. Okay. Let me just get a couple things ready here, which I should have done. Okay. There, we'll start with the regular news since I have that first up here. Oop, just a second. I gotta change something. Forgive me, this is my first time doing this.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Need more tabs.
Yes, Curtis sent me a lot of tabs. Okay, so first up we have TRS-80 Retro Programming on YouTube, who did a video on his game that we have been following, Tales of Suburbia. Now, he has done a new color set for the title screen and some other changes that he has talked about here that he has implemented and is planning on implementing. So he's done some stuff like sped up the game a bit here, so you can see if you remember from when we were watching this before, he's been using the P-copy format and has everything working a little bit faster.
Looks like a lot of bit faster.
Yep.
Because it was like a second or two between each frame before, and now the guy's kind of actually hoofing it across the screen.
So he's getting this optimized pretty good here. So yeah, don't know what else to say about that, but he's definitely putting in a lot of work here. So
hey, making good progress.
Making good progress. And if you're not following it, you should be watching this, especially if you're interested in any of the old basic programming styles here that he's using. And he also released another video exploring the line input command. So this is one of the old things I think that many of us did very early on in getting our first basic computers is, using the input to be able to get the computer to learn your name or whatever, as long as you don't turn the computer off and change the variable. So I haven't really actually, so he goes through and does a couple different ways of doing it, adding the input to the end of your single line. And then figures out how to actually make it so that it's adding everything to the end of the line that you've printed. So yeah, he just, as he does in many of his videos here, he just progresses through it, really shows well of his process of figuring things out and learning how to do stuff. So if you're fairly new to stuff, then it's a great way to follow along. And he often has a lot of the same questions that many other people in similar situations would have, and he really shows out his thought process of figuring it out. So it's an interesting little series of videos to follow.
Kind of like a video version of Alan Huffman's basic blog on Subetha.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, next we have CoCo Town. And he has put up a video about setting up for programming in assembly language using modern tools and using the time travel debugging, which is the MAME debugger rewind feature, which lets you go backwards within limits and also into using trace files. And I'm just reading that from what Curtis wrote because this is well over my head of knowing what's going on here. So
F11, that's rewind step. So if I do Control F,
oops,
watch this thing. It goes up, 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 up. And as I do it, take a look at my screen. So it keeps track of the whole state of the world, including all of the memory. And so it knows that as I go back in time, this changes. And then I can go forward again. I can step forward with F10. And it fills it back up again, and the registers update each other, which is very cool. If you've ever debugged and it took a really long time to get to the point of the problem, but then you step like one step too late, and you were like, oh my gosh, I have to start over again. Time travel debugging is such a godsend because you just step back. So if you step forward too much, you just step back. And
so there you go. If that's something that you didn't really know about, or if you're into using the MAME debugger, yeah, that would be an interesting feature to be using for all the programmers out there.
Yeah, it lets you figure out how you get into trouble, not just that you're already in trouble and this is what the explosion looks like.
Nailed it.
Now, CoCo Town has also released another video about using the updated DriveWire 4 for newer Java distributions and on a real CoCo. So if you're interested in the DriveWire 4 server, this is a good video to watch to see how to get it running. With the newer Java and with your CoCo computer.
And remember, folks, Java is just this easy. It's super intuitive this way. Now, Pedro did a really good job figuring out how to modernize and update the pieces that needed to be so that it could run at all under some of the newer versions of Java. So it's kind of nice to see new life coming back into that side of the DriveWire project, because it really is one of the killer apps for the CoCo side of the world.
All right, so that's the DriveWire, and CoCo Town also released one more video. So third and final video in the news from him is he is starting a series on working with floating point calls in BASIC from assembly language programs. So don't know really. Again, this is a little above my head on programming, so
it's a super nice trick because the basic ROM is kind of like a whole library full of stuff. But the one wrinkle from the assembly side is that BASIC is intended to do all of its computations in floating point rather than integers. And so you have to go through some shenanigans to convert data back and forth yourself, or get data into the right format before you call a routine in the BASIC library that will then convert it for you. And so, yeah, a tutorial to help with that kind of interfacing will give, the starting assembly language programmer much more access to code that's already built into the machine to take advantage of. So it's a good trick to know. I ran across this with the Commodore 64, their version of BASIC, which has integer support and floating point. But there's an assembly language book by Abacus that went through a whole 40-something page chapter of exactly this to try to explain the format of the data and how to interface to it. So having a video version of that is really pretty helpful.
Is that the book you're talking about, the Color Basic Unraveled 2?
No, the one I'm talking about is for the Commodore 64.
Oh, okay. So he does make reference in this video here to this Color Basic Unraveled 2.
Yeah, they do talk about it in there as well, but there's not as many examples.
Oh,
there's
okay.
not like the working through step by step of converting back and forth. It's advanced machine language for the C64 by Abacus Press. Has like more than you could ever want to know about it, and is available out there in various PDF formats from various Commodore places. But the basic in the CoCo is fundamentally derived from the same source that the basic in the Commodore 64 started from. And so there are some commonalities, and this is one of them.
Okay. Yeah, what he said.
Yeah,
Now,
for example, the Easter egg, the Microsoft Easter egg that Bill Gates put in for the Commodore is also in the CoCo ROM.
Okay. So our next story is from Elizabeth Hayes, who is also known as Princess Lizzie on Discord, and has also been to CoCo Fest at Neil Blanchard's booth in the past, Neil Blanchard of the CoCo crew. She has released a video of her adventures upgrading her yellowed CoCo 2 to a pink CoCo 2. So definitely a video worth a watch. And of course, my videos are. Here's an ad for Canadian Tire.
And the pink CoCo that she comes up with came out really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Now I'm hungry.
2, 1.
There we go. So here she's spray painting it, and so definitely worth a watch to watch her customize this computer. And she even does some joysticks for it.
I must say this probably plays Donut Dilemma much better than our machines do.
Sparkles.
So that is it's a pretty neat little thing. So definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, it came out well. That CoCo has a lot of its own personality just sitting there, doesn't it?
Absolutely, especially when she kept the original color on parts of it and added sparkles, and yeah.
What I find impressive is that she's a female.
With the CoCo.
Yeah.
My daughter saw this video, and my CoCo 2 now may be in danger of having something similar happen to it.
Pinkification.
And nice sparkly pink CoCo.
You know, she could probably do the keys because they have rub-on letters after you get it all done. You can put it right back on again.
No, they don't. They're shot through keys. We have great key caps.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, she did the bezel. That's good.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And our next story comes from Alan Huffman's latest blog post, which is a trip down memory lane for Alan about his very first commercial program, the Huffman K1 Librarian, originally sold in 1989 via Rutherford Research. So it's a nice blog posting about that. So any of you are familiar with this out there, it's a good blog post to go through. Bring back memories for people that used this too.
Yeah, Alan also wrote the example code that's in the manual for that MIDI pack. And this program gives you some ideas of some of the stuff that you can do to adapt. your CoCo to be able to control different MIDI machines. So patch librarians are kind of a staple for when you do a lot of different MIDI work across different pieces of gear, and you want to try to take advantage of the specific features of that specific piece of gear rather than use it in a generic manner. So it's kind of cool that he kind of goes through what it took to get this going.
So definitely another good blog post to go through. Okay, so our next one is the latest episode of the CoCo Crew podcast is out, number 96.
They are closing in on the mighty 100.
Yeah, and this features a discussion of whether or not non-factory upgrades should be documented or marketed to avoid historical fraud. And I'll talk about that in a second. And there's also reviews by Neil of the Pi Key 10 for the MC10.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that people could get the idea that the 6309 came in the
well, that's what they talk about. It is actually interesting because there's people that are buying these computers that don't know a lot about them. Now, having like a lot of people don't know that the CoCo 3 only came with 128K in it. Any time a 512K is in there, it's an upgrade. It's not original, and a 6309 is not original. So they kind of talk about whether you should have to put something on the computers so that you're not trying to sell it as an original computer. It has been upgraded.
Well, I mean, are you talking about where it's like mandatory because of some sort of law or enforcement, or is this a caveat emptor? Because I personally prefer to know what the content is.
They're
realistic labeling.
They're saying what, like, people are saying what the content is, but not saying like it's a 6809 512 color computer 3. And somebody that's not that familiar with it may think, oh well, that's worth more because it's the from the factory, the really high end one that came from the factory. Well, no, it never came from the factory. Somebody opened it up and did those.
There's
Right.
no substitute for doing your homework.
That's
In
true.
fact,
I mean, that is the other side of it. I mean,
all the 512. I was going to say all of the 512 Tandy upgrades I have all have AIX numbers. So, yeah, that's the.
Or somebody
Sort of.
that puts in a 2
That's-
meg upgrade from Cloud9 right now, or
So the most Tandiest 512K upgrade is not a stock Tandy part number.
Right.
It's an AIX experimental, what
Here's
have you.
part of the problem too, I guess, is that a lot of the people that are turning and flipping these machines didn't have them back in the day. They don't know anything about them, and
exactly.
it should generally be ignorance. I mean, yeah, it would be great to know that something's been opened and modified, and because I mean, sometimes you get these machines and they've got just rat's nests of horrible bodge wires in them, and somebody dug holes in the board with a soldering iron trying to do their own processor upgrade or something, and yeah, that's just horrible. But I mean, some people just don't even know. It's like, oh yeah, I got this machine. It kind of looked it up on the net for a few minutes and threw it on eBay, and there it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, that's is it something that should be like, even one thing that they suggest is putting a sticker on the inside saying that when it was upgraded, what it was upgraded with, or. But you're right. I mean, there is no substitute for doing your homework. I mean, if you honestly
Or
think
just
that
ask questions until and get photos. I mean, if they say, well, the warranty sticker is still intact, really? I mean, so what?
But you could buy warranty stickers to
And just stick it on there, right? It comes down to what does it cost,
Yeah.
Are you buying a
Like,
collector's item?
Are people inflating it, trying to say that this was an original computer that's not been worked on, even though it has parts in it that never came in the original
They could
color
be
computer?
doing that out of ignorance, or they could be doing that out of malice. But
Yeah.
I mean, how do you enforce that? I mean, that eBay is a flea market, and it really comes down to you're going to talk to the person that's selling it or not, and you're going to know what the thing it is you're buying is or not.
No, that's
The
like,
other thing that comes into that is, are there really even a lot of original computers from back in the day that have not been in some way changed, even if it's just changing the caps or doing whatever? Those are all
Well, and it only matters if you're buying a
upgrades, I
collector
guess.
piece.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're not buying a collector piece and you want a runner, I don't care why it runs. Does it run and what are the specs? That's
Well, I
well,
mean,
it's like classic cars, okay? You know, I particularly know the Mopar line, okay, and I know that in '68, numbers matching mattered because from then on they had serial numbers on the car and on different parts of the body. But 67 and younger, they didn't do that. So a lot of time when cars go for sale at like auction places, kind of like when we have computers on eBay, these cars will go up on, and be shown, and they have parts on them that are obvious upgrades or different. A certain engine may not come in a certain model, and it's the same with the processor and the computer. So, if I went on eBay and was looking for dare I say it, Commodore 64 or Apple or something, I have no clue on the history of those machines. And if I bought one with a lot of memory on it, where did it come from? Did it come that way from the factory? Wouldn't know. But really, I think everybody has to do their homework to know what it is they're buying. I mean, the same with a new car. When you buy a new car, you have to know what you're buying, and then, not be upset because you didn't get a particular thing because you bought it, and now you have it, and now you have to either upgrade it or you have to, be happy with what you have.
I mean, you could also think about the extreme of this. Like, I mean, we're just talking about aftermarket parts, but what about somebody that gets a computer and then they've changed all the caps in it, but did it improperly? I mean, that's still an upgrade that was done wrong. And, you may be buying it thinking, well, it's an original 128K CoCo 3 with a 6809 in it, but they put all the caps in backwards.
well,
So-
dead is dead.
some sort of
Yeah.
grading process where, I mean, I know they do this with other kinds of vintage and collectible type things, is that you take it somewhere and get it certified to a certain level or something. And
Which
then-
opens up
the
another whole
prices-
can of wings, or another whole can of worms about grading places that are just complete ripoffs.
Right. But if the money keeps going up,
Give me
what
enough
can you
money
do?
and I'll grade your computer really high.
Well, we do have the archive, and the archive has information about our machines, right? As to how
Yeah.
they came about, and that would be a good source.
And soon enough, old computers won't be cool anymore, and we'll be back to practical prices for working machines.
And I mean, in this discussion, they do raise some interesting facts, but I have to agree that in the end, the onus is really on the buyer to know what they're buying.
If you're a collector and you're buying it as a collectible, you
should know
open
what
the
it is.
bonnet.
Yeah.
Open the bonnet and see what's inside before
Yeah.
you pay money.
That's it. Ask questions. If you're going to buy something and you're not sure about it, ask questions. Get pictures.
So,
I mean, if the person's refusing to send you any extra pictures of it or
yeah, warning signs.
anything like that,
Sounds like a
definite
good-
warning
Right.
sign. So,
Or really nice pictures when their normal stuff is not really nice. You don't want those pre-cooked videos.
Or if
Yeah.
if they only accept payment in Apple gift cards.
and also one thing I do know that if you're dealing in stuff like this and you get them to send you extra pictures, save those pictures yourself, because if you get the product and it looks nothing like the pictures they sent you, then especially on something like
Right.
eBay,
And then you go back to eBay, and the pictures on eBay look like what they sent you, not like
Yeah.
the ones that you saw.
exactly. So that I actually do that. I take screenshots of things that I buy on eBay if they're, I mean, I don't do it for like $10 bits, but if I'm spending $200 on something, I take screenshots of what I'm buying So they can't go and change it and say later, oh, no, this is exactly what you bought.
One time I bought a older Model 1 CoCo and opened it up and had Paul Barton look in there. And I said, what are those wires there? They don't look normal or whatever. And he goes, I think it's a botched way to upgrade to composite or composite. I don't know what to say now. I don't know what to say. Help me. So now he looks at it and he goes, yeah. You want to take it out? And I go, no, it doesn't do anything and it doesn't hamper the video. And he showed me the wire that was cut off, because that's probably where the coax, ended, where you would plug it in. So I just left it. It didn't hurt anything, but it did look weird with a little daughter board thing or whatever you call it.
Well, it's complicated by the fact that Tandy would throw bodge wires and stuff and send it out the door. That was just their way.
Mm-hmm.
We
But
ain't
also,
making a new.
One of the things with the color computer, because it was such a hobbyist's computer, you almost got to expect that anything you buy at some point in its life has been opened up and altered in some way or the other. Which is a lot more common than the pristine original computers in the Tandy world, especially.
If you're buying a CoCo and the warranty seal is not on there, then you can expect maybe it's been modified.
Right. And if it is, it needs to have that little shrink around the glue mark around the outside of it where it's been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Collectors really get weird on things. I tried to sell to collectors. It's hard. Anyway.
All right. Well, so that's a good little discussion topic anyway.
Is this pretty much what they were talking about?
Yeah, basically. They basically talked about how they think that there should be. They're giving examples on why there should be. You're not fooling people accidentally or on purpose to try to inflate the price is more what they were covering there. But
right. Let's be honest, the CoCo 3 should be a couple $100.
Yeah, which they're not. And
so if we're talking about shoulds, we can stop there.
Yeah.
Depends on the value. It gains value over time, like an old car, an old Chrysler should only be a couple of $100. It's so old. But some of those are worth a lot more than what they were when they were new, because they're collectable.
Well, that's the thing now. Buying a secondhand CoCo 3 is the same price as they were when they were brand new back in the day, or even more. So,
which is a good sign for the value of the computer. If it was just a piece of crap and say, here, you can have this for $10, it's so old and rubbish. But at least, the value is held and sometimes surpassed.
People aren't buying them at that price to be computers. They're buying them at that price to be a cool thing.
Yeah.
And then what happens to it when it moves on from there is.
I think, unfortunately, it's pricing out the people that really want the computers as opposed to the people that are investing in the computers.
Right.
It's like the people that I cannot stand that buy these like games and they put them on their shelf and like this game was from this era and it's in this nice little case and it's staying there because games should not be played. They should only be looked at. I think there's something missing there. That's not the original reason for making games.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that was the CoCo Crew podcast number 96. Definitely has some stuff in there to listen to if you're in the CoCo world. Next up, we have Mike Hall uploaded the Radio Shack service manual for the CCR 81 cassette recorder to the CoCo Face group. It is also uploaded to the Internet Archive, and as Curtis says, and I agree, he's hoping that it will eventually be uploaded to the Color Computer Archive, because especially since the Internet Archive is running into all kinds of problems now and might at some time be shut down. So
What? You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad this came out because I want to put a fan in mine and a 6309.
into your CCR 81 cassette recorder.
Hey, at least we'll know where the belts go.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. Actually, I gotta fix my CCR 81, so I'm gonna have to look at this.
It already has holes for the fan right on the back there.
You
mean the speaker?
Yeah.
Is it the CCR 82? That's that more compact one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a good one. I like the little one.
That one's hard though. It's got a really complicated switch in the center of its design that goes out. And if you can't deox it and make it work again, it's dead, and that's that. It's like an old walkie-talkie where there was like an 18-way switch that the push-to-talk button worked to change all the entire circuitry around from transmitter to receiver. That tiny cassette recorder has that, so it only has half the circuitry that it flips back and forth. And when they die, they're dead. I've tried so hard to fix some of them. The 82, the little bitty square one, it was so cute. But this is good.
There you go.
Where the bell goes.
So commit this page to memory if you're ever trying to change the belts in your CCR 81.
Okay, but I have one question.
Okay.
It's hard to see.
It's hard to see?
Yeah.
Need a better monitor, man.
I've got a 24-inch.
Well, just open it in another window and
Oh,
zoom
what's
in.
the link? Yeah, there's the very complicated link up there. All you got to do is type that in quickly.
Or you just go to the show notes and click the link
Grab
from
it
there.
Okay.
Or give it to somebody else to do.
Or you go to the Internet Archive and you can upload it yourself.
May I go on a tangent?
Okay.
All right, on a more serious note, and specifically, don't we stream at the show at 1080?
Yes. Oh, it's blocking now?
No, it's streaming at 720.
That's why Restream's mad. We've got something misset somewhere.
All right. Well, you can't fix it in the middle of the stream.
Well, no, but that's why Restream's mad if we're going at 720 and we're normally 1080 is correct.
Yeah. But yeah, I went to
checking it.
to go up the resolution and to 1080, and it's like the source is 720, and someone said something to me about it, so I wanted to check. Is that part of the production issues we were having before the show started?
Could be.
Possibly.
Part of it.
Okay.
That would make Restream Studio mad. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm outputting at 1280 by 720, which is what it's been.
If you're outputting at 1280 by 720, then we are outputting at 720p, not 1080.
Okay, we'll have to look at that, but that's
next week.
kind of been that way for the last 100
Right.
episodes.
Oh.
Oh, cool. Well, then something else got mad.
Yeah, because the shows I think I did were full 1080, but I'm just asking because it's like when you're looking at stuff like this, it's kind of hard to read, to just like glance at and read and look at.
Well, that's why you're supposed to just get the taste for it and then go actually download this from Facebook yourself or from the Internet Archive.
Yes, well, I'm trying.
I thought our bandwidth.
I
thought our bandwidth was down.
Yeah. I was trying to get the full taste of it, of the full name brand flavor, but you're giving me the Save-A-Lot or Jewel Tea or Aldi version of it, and that makes it kind of hard to savor.
Hey, I'm cheap. What can I say? You're just getting a taste.
Zoom
If you
call
want to
looks
buy
great,
the
though.
whole cow,
You guys licking your screen or something?
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not supposed to?
That's what those little bubbles are on there.
I thought that's how you kept it clean. Where was the cat wrong?
Next week is the scratch and sniff edition of the show.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Yeah, I
Jeez.
just yeah.
We still got more news to get through. Come on, people.
I noticed the resolution issue, and someone said something to me about it, so I want to just ask, especially when we have something like this where it's like a lot of
Right.
text and graphics that kind of like blur together. So
Well, plus
Because-
my computer's old and crappy, so it's not all that clear to start with.
no, it's not. It's just Canadian,
There you go.
so it's 80% less of resolution.
My chipmunk is slowing down on the wheel to keep things going. So
That's it. We're doing Canadian high definition.
there you go.
My eyes are still VGA resolution.
And we prefer to call it in Canada Muso Vision.
Muso Vision.
Well, it flows like maple syrup, so I'll give it to you that.
All right, moving on. As we earlier had a discussion, Ron Klein has posted major upgrades for the Cocoa Pie project. About a major project updates coming, a 64-bit version. And so Curtis is saying, from reading Ron's post, he's not sure how well this will work with the Pi 3, but it should actually improve performance on the Pi 4 and the Pi 400. So you can go to the cocopie.com to read about the 64-bit version that is coming and in the works. So is there anything from the earlier discussion that anybody wanted to add about this?
There's going to be a lot of 3Bs on for sale.
Well, the world is moving on. If the 64, if the Pi 4 ever becomes massively available, everybody's going to buy one. But
I heard somebody say that PCs will never do 128. Is that true?
don't believe anything like that you ever hear.
I believe that was it
Bill Gates who said who could use anybody?
Yeah, who could use more than
64?
64K?
And now they say Moore's law is dead, but they'll find a new law.
Yeah. They made up the first one, right?
Right. And it held for 30, 40 years. So
yeah. The guy just passed away too, I think, that did it.
Yep. Not that long ago.
Time to start over.
Right. Need a new law.
Yep. It's probably going to be an inverse thing where the faster you go, the slower it goes.
And strange but true, I bought a Pi 4 and it was sitting in my box to work on, and I forgot all about it through the Great Pi Crisis. I could have bought a CoCo 3 for this thing. But,
yep.
Now I guess I'm going to have to install the CoCo Pi project on it as originally intended.
Yeah, 64-bit Pi project. There you go. Get playing with it. Let us know how it is.
Right. I got to buy another HDMI monitor to tape it to the back of. And I also had to buy this funky cable because Pi 4, folks, you ain't got a cable that fits it. You're going to have to buy an adapter from tiny HDMI to HDMI.
Yeah.
Along with the Pi. So, put another C note in your wallet.
You guys are talking about new laws. Don't we have the Alan Murphy law?
Oh, that's an old law, but it always applies.
And for those of them that don't know, what is the Alan Murphy law?
If it can break it, well.
If there are two ways to do a thing and one will lead you to disaster, inevitably that thing will happen. That was Captain Edwin A. Allen Murphy of the U.S. Air Force somewhere back in the early 20th century who came up with that little truism. And,
that's right. I remember.
In my case, it's more of a lifestyle than a law.
He was on that
choice.
He was on the Titanic.
Could have been. Yes.
Captain All right.
Murphy.
So moving on then. Our next story comes from Michael Furman, who has released part 4 of his Flex video log series on YouTube. This one features a reconstruction that Michael did to show the original 5.0 version of Flex by Frank Hogg with no high-res screen driver, and also the much rarer Spectral Associates Flex Plus 2.0.
These are very cool videos. If you haven't really looked at this, it's an alternative operating system for the CoCos that has quite a bit of support out there. It just seems to have gotten overshadowed quite a bit by OS 9. And I'd always been curious about it. And this video series has, I mean, he's just packed it full of all kinds of timeline and historical context, and as well as, I mean, one of the videos in the series, he's hacking on one of the utilities and just showing you how you would have used Flex as your daily driver at the time. So it's really pretty cool way to get into that if you haven't ever seen what that particular part of the CoCo world was like.
There weren't very many applications that came out of it, were there? I mean, you don't see
there were a lot more than you would expect.
Well, you don't see a CoCo Max or anything graphical from it, do you?
Well, they weren't in the CoCo world. They were in the Flex world. So if you weren't in the Flex world, you didn't see any of those applications.
Right.
Oh.
And
yeah, it's kind of a hidden thing.
What kind of Flex is that?
Well, Flex came out before Flex came out before. There was no graphic user interfaces back in the day of when Flex came out. This is like pre-80.
Right. One of the ones he shows in the video, it shows that the copyright is 79, even though in the version that's booting on the CoCo. So,
because I mean, remember back then, home computers all had ROMs and they were all different. And so here's something that wasn't that way that would run on your home computer. It wasn't all different. You could run the same thing as other people could run.
Yeah, but it's been fascinating so far. I hope he keeps going.
So would this program ever be put on a ROM so it would boot up?
No, not that I know of.
Because it's an operating system, right?
It's right, but I think that defeats the point. The point is that this is not stuck on a machine in a ROM and can't be changed.
It's a disk operating system.
Right. It's the whole point. It's only applicable if you decide for it to be.
It's not a ROM basic or anything. It's a disk
you aren't
system.
married to this. You can run it if you want and run Flex programs, or you can run CoCo Deck B. So the first choice, if you will. Because we couldn't run CPM, but we could run Flex.
But there was
Flex is essentially like a CPM for the 6.8 series.
But there was a CPM though, wasn't there? For
if you plug in a Z80 card,
Right.
Which means back to
but that's for a Z80.
But if you just want to group up with a bunch of other people and run the same programs, Flex would do that for you without having to put in extra hardware, yada yada.
Well, chances are somebody's not going to buy a CoCo and have the software come with it that says Flex on it, and they're going to say, "Wow, look what I got." It can run all kinds of programs.
That's why this is cool, though, because not everyone can or knows why.
Right.
Okay, well, moving on from Mikey's blog, we go to Brian Walsh, who builds a CoCo 2 from scratch. This is Pedro Pena's board, also known as Rocky Hill on YouTube. This is his CoCo 2 board, and the parts that he used to build this are ordered from Shoemaker and DigiKey. So
this is a reproduction again of
yeah, this is Pedro Pena's reproduction CoCo 2 board. So
right.
Is it going to stay white or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This-
he
it's white.
This one is printed on white. I mean, assuming wherever you get it printed, you could get it in just about any color you want.
Mhm.
You could do
Right.
red, blue, green, white, black.
Right. In the old days, any color but green was a substantial upcharge. And now, no, pick a color. We got like 16 of them. Pick one. This all came with the RGB lighting, so you can.
I'll bet they don't have a silver one.
No, but they have solid colors, so you can put your RGB lighting over your whiteboard and get a really modern computer, if you will.
They need a translucent one, and you put it all in a translucent CoCo case.
Watch the traces glowing in the lights.
Everything's see through.
And you'll notice in the description down here that Brian also mentions that no hair was set on fire during the making of the filming of the video. So I think that was for Curtis.
Yeah, I'll stay.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in these boards, this is part 1 of his video getting it built. So definitely worth a watch. If you're looking to build your own CoCo 2 at some point.
So he's not going to have a assembled board for sale either, probably in the future.
No, this is a hobby project for.
Yeah, this is Rocky Hill was just recreated the board, so it's just buy the board and buy the parts and build it yourself. It's just
Now,
like
I wonder if he does. Does he do anything about the salt chip? Because that has
there's the pepper board.
Yeah,
that
he
you can
sells
put
one.
Yeah, he sells the pepper board, which is a
Does it
direct replacement for the salt chip.
Okay.
Let's run off a DC.
The pepperboard does all the analog conversion and the 0-point crossover detection and all kinds of every analog thing that the CoCo needs done, so that the pass transistor can make the 5 volts and it can do everything else.
Yeah, I put a CoCo 2 in my truck using a 12 volt, 2 points you can find on your motherboard and make it work. But I couldn't understand why the serial port wouldn't work. And it's probably because it didn't
Yeah,
need
but it needs the AC. Yeah, it needs extra voltage besides just straight 5 volts to make the serial port work. So the salt normally sniffs off the transformer and makes all the fancy stuff. But you can just put 5 volts into the board and it will mainly run, but you don't get a cassette and a couple other things.
Yeah, without any other updates, you get no RF output and no sound. There's a capacitor you jumper across to get your sound back.
We don't care now because we got a pepper board.
Exactly. Even with the pepper board, you have to jumper the capacitor though.
Well, let's say you had a CoCo 2 board, you'd have to have the same one that he's mimicking, right? In order to take the salt chip out and put it on your board, or wouldn't he have the provision for the older chip to go on it?
That's the point. Other than the salt chip and ROMs, I think you can get every other part, can't you? For
as far as I know,
I think you can. So
the 40-pin edge connector with grounding gears is a little rare.
it's a little weird, but you can get one without and just kind of say.
So Scott Cooper is
Looks good.
asking whether the pepper board is 100% compatible.
Claims to be. I haven't heard anyone not.
Same here.
I have one minor issue that I think might be attributable to the pepper board, and that's just a very slight video glitching. It only happens on Jumpin' Joey.
Or I think that's probably just Nick's programming.
It doesn't do it on other computers. It only does it on the boards with the pepper board in it.
Some analog thing.
And it does it on RGB and it does it on RF output. Because at first I thought it was.
Did you push
rename the game?
Did you push that bug on to Pedro?
No, I haven't really mentioned it.
Because he might not know and might have a solution.
Maybe.
It's worth, because I do see the little Atmel looking thing on there. So
he'll have to dedicate some time to playing Jumpin' Joey then. So yeah, maybe.
There you go. It's a win. Put it on the game on.
Okay, so moving on to the next story. Emerson Costa has created a playlist on his YouTube channel of various programs, mostly games, some demos, to show a variety of graphics done using the VDG chip, the 6847, that is in the CoCos, Dragons, MC10s, and also in the Acorn Atom VTech Laser 200 and 300, APF MP 1000 video game console, and a few others listed on the side here. So there's like he put together about 100 videos here of different systems and everything else showing off the VDG chip. So
do you know
lots to watch here.
Did any other manufacturer other than the Color Computer use the T1 chip?
I don't think so, because there were so few T1s available that some of the production test ones that start with X something or another were also shipped in machines as well.
So Tandy bought them all.
I think so.
And they were toward the end of the life of the CoCo 2, right?
Correct.
But wasn't that emulated in the 3? Or no?
Yes.
Oh, and apparently I didn't let it load long enough. There's actually 343 videos here. So
we aren't done yet. Huh?
Wow.
You could watch this playlist for a very, very long time.
What's interesting, I don't know if it's the APF or it's the NEC. It actually uses the 6847 and it actually either mixes modes on the same screen, gets more colors. I don't know if any of those videos would show any of those games.
The NEC does what would basically be Semigraphics 6. So you get square pixels 4:3 ratio,
right?
And all the colors. And then the APF uses the Imagination Machine, the APF M1000, uses the 6847 in a very different way than pretty much any other machine. It uses it as a tile engine. So you can build these, I think it's 128 different tile graphics and stick them in there and then build your game out of the tiles. And it's all driven by the 6847. And the Imagination Machine is the earlier processor than the CoCo. It's a Motorola 6800, not a 6809. So it's more like programming an MC10 than anything else. But yeah, that Imagination Machine one, the way it uses the VDG is a lot different. Very interesting. And I've poked around on it a little bit. I am definitely not good at getting it to draw pictures though.
So is that a faster way to do it or just a different way?
It is just the way they wired it, and the reason they did it that way was because of the size of the cartridges they were going to have available, and the cost that they were already facing with having the 6800 and 6847 there. So tiling it let them save a lot of RAM in other places, in their console. So
Yep, that makes sense.
it's the technical manual for the Imagination Machine is out there if you want to dig into how it all works. It's I would be very curious to see if somebody could get something like that going on any of the other 6847 machines somehow. I mean, other than just, smashing bits into memory directly.
So some of these machines didn't always have the 68, the
6809.
some were the Z80 and
Correct. Yeah, the NEC, for example, is a Z80 processor with and some of the MSXs are like that. The Acorn Atom, I think, was a 6502 off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And the processors could be different. This guy's unifying theme here for his videos is that they're all the VDG chip. So it's that very specific CoCo Dragon look for things.
Ooh, what was that website called? That YouTube video called?
It's a list. It's a playlist on Emerson Costa's YouTube channel.
Yeah, so the link will be in the
the link's in the show notes.
Right.
So if you want to go through all 343 videos, I did notice a few classics in there, like Dino Wars is in there.
Well, the really funny part though is how much of that it looks just like Jim Gary's website, because his type in Mania page, he's got a page that shows all the different graphics games in this big array.
Well, he has most of the MC10 stuff that he's added in here is all stuff from Jim Gary. So these are not all his videos. There's videos he's found over the internet and added to one big playlist, so you could go through and see it all.
A very nice collection.
Now,
was the 6847 also used in the games that you can go to a game room and play back in the day?
Arcade
machines?
Yeah.
I don't know of any arcade machines that use the 6847.
No, I don't think so.
But yet we emulate to it from other ones.
Well, a lot of home computers use the 6847 in the Motorola world, but video games threw all their money into their video, so they didn't mess with that little bit.
Okay.
Now, moving on to some MC10 news. Brandon Donahue put up the instructions for upgrading the MC10's internal RAM to 8 kilobytes without causing the noise on this display. This allows the MC10's VDG to properly use the two highest resolutions, 128 by 192 by 4 and 256 by 192 by 2, P-Mode 3 and P-Mode 4, for those familiar with the CoCos. This article is an accumulation of previous articles and corrections from Dennis Bathory Kitts from his original Color Computer Magazine article. Darren Atkinson and Geronimus Vanden and Brendan himself. So this actually brings back memories for me of the first color computer video that I released on my channel. Little self-promotion here was looking at my MC10 and the 8 kilobyte upgrade that was in it, and the fact that it was causing all the noise in the upper section of the memory. So whenever I tried to load in any machine language games, they just it was just a scrambled screen. So when somebody had put me on the right path there, which was actually this USP or U5P pin 15 to U5P pin 8 or other ground was the problem that my computer had. So it wasn't grounded properly.
Cool. The link is on that page, isn't it? To your video complaining about the noise. That's cool.
Is it?
Yeah. Scroll up. Scroll up.
Ah, there we go.
There you are.
Hey,
Two-part series.
I read this over like twice and I completely missed it. My video is in there. Okay.
So now you know
even
how to
more
get to it.
self-promotion. Yeah, even more self-promotion. You can link to my video right there, which is actually the whole reason that Curtis got me to even come on this show.
And now you are the show.
Right?
Canadians are taking over.
Notice your shirts have been ramping up the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, it's summery.
What
I'm putting
happens
my
next
more
week?
summery
An
shirts on.
explosion. Right? Quiety.
Next week, if he sees the results of this week, Curtis will probably have a shirt not unlike his on.
Actually, next week I just got to I'm taking the week off next week. So actually, I'm on the road next Saturday, so I'm actually not even going to be here. So
you're heading for the cabin, aren't you?
I'm heading for the cabin. So the next time you see me, I will have a log cabin back.
Nice.
Drop.
That's worth the trip.
All right, so the next MC10 article is Robert Sieg posted a screenshot of a tall, very thin font he has made using the unfinished external character set on the MC10. Curtis says he's not sure what is meant by that, but the same characters have been used by Jim Gary at times when he makes SG6 64x48 games. So
if you look at the screen at 8 degrees, you can actually read it.
So if this were on a screen that wasn't proportioned normally, it would be a really nice font, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah, if you could stretch the screen, it would be As it is right now, it's a fairly hard to read font. Looks more like a barcode than a font. So that is in the Facebook. And then we have one more Facebook here. Carlos Camacho posted scans from PCW Magazine, Personal Computer World Magazine, a UK publication reviewing the MC10 and the MC10. Oh, he posted it to the MC10 group on Facebook. There we go. So this is the article, which is actually a fairly long article, goes into looks like a lot of detail.
It looks like they had some respect for the machine back then.
Yeah, even talks about the TP10 printer. So, yeah, if you want to read something about the MC10 from, I guess, an older magazine, then, yeah, go to the Facebook page and read this one. Now, next, we jump over to Dragon 3464 stuff, which I can't access because I'm still waiting for my request to join the Facebook group. So, but I will tell you what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be Julian Brown posted another update on his reproduction Dragon motherboard, where he's currently doing fairly major changes, moving the video circuitry to a separate plug-in daughter board, which could be NTSC or PAL, and thus freeing up a fair bit of main motherboard for other things. Which
like a
includes
real-time clock.
A lot of suggestions in the comments, but yeah.
Yes, that was one of the suggestions, both on the Discord and the Facebook, was, oh, you got space for a real-time clock. Yeah, we weren't going to let that go by.
Nope.
The picture of the board, it's now like half of the board is empty, flat ground plane once he took the video gear off of it. So, yeah, it could be very interesting to see how he reorganizes it.
Time to get your saber saw out and cut all that out of there.
Exactly.
And the second part of this article, which unfortunately is also unblocked from seeing. Come on, Dragon people, I Why don't you accept my request?
Because you're Canadian?
He's also trying to compress the Pell Video daughter board, but thinks he has it as shrunk down as it can get.
Wait, this is appropriate. This is the sorry 315
Yeah.
version of the show anyway. So
By the way, sorry, but I'm not a member of the Dragon Owners Users Group yet, so I can't show you these articles that we're talking about. I'm sorry.
very good. Accepted.
But I can show you the next Dragon article, which is by oh, come on. There we go. This is by David Mitchell. He posted another type-in graphics demo, this time from the March 1984 Dragon User magazine. So I guess you could fire this up on your Dragon and just kind of chill out to watching some interesting graphics.
Looks like a couple of curtains going over an Italian restaurant table.
So in the chat, Julian Brown mentions that he shared that repo board on the CoCo Facebook page.
Oh. Well, I missed that. Well, Curtis never sent me a link, so I blame Curtis.
The canned link is broken.
We all blame Curtis.
Yeah. All right, so that is the end of the regular news. I don't know if we want to take a break before jumping into the Game On news, which is a lot shorter, by the way.
We can if you want to.
It's up to you guys.
Let's see, which commercial number are we up to today? Okay, here we go.
Hello, this is Mark Siegel, product manager for the Color Computer product line and designer of the Tandy Color Computer 3. And I'm proud to be a citizen of the CoCo Nation.
Shall we play a game?
Making games for the CoCo for over 35 years. Go to my CoCo Games website at www.nickmarentes.com for information and pricing of my later games, as well as downloads of many of my older games.
CoCo 2's got personality, lots of practicality, fun, it's sensational, learn it's educational. CoCo 2's expandable, so easily commandable. It's programmable, the term exam-grammable. Just you and CoCo to do what you want to do.
CoCo 2, the color computer with personality from Radio Shack. Sale price for Christmas giving from $149.95.
Radio Shack's CoCo to do what you want to do. Just you and CoCo 2.
That had that little tape player in there.
Yeah, I saw that.
How appropriate. Good timing.
All right. Well, let's just jump into there's only a couple of gaming news stories, so we'll jump right into those. So, Chris Schneider on the Atari Age forum, Tandy Computers, posted screenshots and a download link for an Infocom style adventure game called Locked Room. So, if you're a fan of these kind of
text adventures,
text adventures, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Nick. Then you can follow the link in the show notes and download this to try out. It's a new 2023, as you can see, copyright text adventure that you can play on your CoCo computer. And the next one, we have a YouTube video here from Davey Mitchell, posted a type-in Dragon game, this time Shoot, originally by Duncan Rowland in Dragon User Magazine, September 1984. As he's done lately, David has tweaked the code a bit.
Yeah, I suggested to Brian Weasler that he might want to try making that into a light gun game.
That would be interesting.
You could shoot him.
Might have to shrink down the guys to shoot, though, because it'd be pretty easy shooting somebody that takes up just about the entire screen.
Well, it doesn't matter. You get to pick a hit spot, a hitbox somewhere on him. So, yeah, it could be good.
So,
and the beauty is you don't have to show the player the hitbox. You just got to know what to shoot.
Like right between the eyes.
And next we have a video from Vintage Geek. This is the person who very graciously hosted and interviewed both myself and Curtis just after CoCo Fest. He did a video about Disney-related games. Aaron starts with two of the early Sierra Disney educational games, Mickey's Space Adventure and Donald Duck's Playground, which he uses the CoCo 1.2 version to demonstrate. He also plays the CGA PC version of Matterhorn Screamer by High Tech Expressions, and also their version of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. So
yeah, this guy's got 6809 in his blood. He likes our computer.
Yeah, well, if you've seen the interview that he did with me and Curtis, he talks about how the CoCo was his first computer, so his first love. Now he's got his and here's an ad.
An ad.
Anybody want to buy a car?
Powered by 6309.
So now if you're ever down in the Knoxville area, is it Knoxville? Yeah. No, that's not right. Where the heck is his museum? I traveled so many places I can't remember now.
Near Memphis at one point?
Yeah, it's near the other side of Tennessee there. Yeah, maybe it was Knoxville. Anyways, watch my video and his video. You'll know where his museum is, and if you're ever in the area, then you can go visit it because it's definitely worth it. He's got some interesting stuff in there and some rare stuff and stuff that is so rare that I've never even heard of it before.
I like the
Actually,
Zenith.
the artifact colors in these Disney games
They're
are
great.
pretty well done. It's got yellows and oranges, and
Yep, they got 7 colors.
they've done very well with the artifacting. Or the dithering of the artifacting, anyway.
So, yeah, definitely he's got some CoCo stuff on his channel as well as a lot of other stuff. So definitely worth checking out and giving a watch to. All right, and the last one for today is a gaming channel by LR on YouTube has released some new Dragon 3264 long play game videos featuring Jet Boot Colin, which is a game I do not know. He did 2 videos, level 1 and level 4 gameplay. So that's these 2 right here. And then down in this corner here, he did Speed Racer. So, I don't know. I don't know Jet Boot Colin. We've played Speed Racer on, I think, on the gaming challenge before, but I had not heard of Jet Boot Colin. So I can't say anything about it.
It's green.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's a Dragon 3264 game, so it's got that nice soothing green that all of our style of computers have that are going to help with your mood and help calm you, relax you.
Right, not blue like the aggressive one.
Yeah, that's why Tandy users and Dragon users are so much more chill than other
or mellow
gaming
yellow.
groups.
I thought it would be green with envy.
They're green with envy.
Right. We got green.
We got the green. All right. Oh, that is the news for today, for this week.
And now
So
we start
again,
1 hour.
you want to see any of this stuff? Check the show notes in the Discord channel, and there are links to everything. Thanks, Ken.
Indeed. All 3 of you. And we didn't run that short.
Nope.
Parts already off the printer.
All right.
Check that out.
So it was a full show as far as I'm concerned. Now when I take off, I don't leave a printer printing unattended.
So how do you get that off the plate?
It pops off with a putty knife thing. You just kind of.
You gotta bend the plate in half, you know.
Oh yeah, that would be a really good trick since it's tempered glass. It would probably make a nice exploding thing.
You could
In
just
fact, I could
smash it every
probably
time you're
just- yeah.
finished printing something. Just smash it.
Tip it on the edge and it would probably explode because tempered glass is that way.
Just drop
Pretty
it.
funny. I worked at a glass plant when I was a teenager, and you could take the big crate of tempered glass patio door frame and hit it with a crowbar, and nothing would happen. But then you'd be carrying it to put it on the glass washer, and the tip would tink the floor, and it would. And all of a sudden, you aren't hearing anything more.
Oh, geez. Turn back into sand.
Well, little pebbles like this big,
Yeah.
you know, like a car side window does.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And just
Last night,
Glass is
my wife dropped the top of her pot, onto the floor, and it shattered like that.
Right.
All little tiny circles of glass.
to carry on further, modern cars that have the frameless doors where the glass just goes up into the air. If you watch, when they open the door, they roll the window down a little bit. Because in the 70s, they didn't do that. And in hot weather, the glass would be too tight. You close the door, the window would shatter.
Oh, jeez.
Which was, I did it in a 73 Monte Carlo.
Well, I can understand that.
And that was excessive because now you've got all this shattered glass balls in your driver's seat. You got to drive home. Bucket seat full of. Oh, well, that's not very CoCo, is it?
Hey, there we go. We got a good compliment from Scott Cooper. He didn't even nap during the news.
Wow.
Well, this is the Sorry Show, episode 315, remember? We're all sorry.
Sorry you missed your nap, Scott.
Sorry.
So what's next on the show?
Closing credits.
I'm sorry, we have to
actually,
close the show.
I'm just wondering, because it's so early, has anyone got any discussion topic? Maybe we could do a discussion topic. Maybe someone on the list can suggest something. We can just start talking about it. Like we can talk about David Ladd's hair. Oh, hang on, that'll be a short topic.
That's funny. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did talk about the host discussion on the CoCo Crew show.
Does anybody else have anything to add about that?
Because we still got a bit of time. We could just rattle on about. Maybe Ron can come up with something.
Maybe
Or we could go head to the pool.
Hey,
I do like the idea of like a random topic section every week, though. We should
like
work that in
stuff.
somehow. Just kind of
come on, audience, give us a random topic.
Well, that's usually what we do after introductions, but we couldn't even come up with that this time.
Sort of.
So the Beards pontificate about what?
Well, listen, I the other day I was thinking about how the Color Computer 2 and 3 smells. Like when you have it on a while, do you notice that it kind of smells a little metallic-y, or
Probably means you need to change your caps.
It smells like every place it's ever been.
Yeah.
I do have a rule about caps, though. If you're asking a question about hardware and someone comes back with you need to change the caps, go on and block them and move on.
Best
thing, ouch. That hurts.
They read well. No, if someone the first and only thing they say is you need to recap it, they have no clue.
That's because they lived through the 90s, or what?
Well, no, because every YouTube video ever says you need to recap it.
Well,
and
yeah,
there are a couple of specific situations where this is always true, and outside
if you
of
have
that,
if you have an Apple computer built in like about 88 to
well, the 90s, anything in the 90s,
Right.
there was a big capacitor scam, fake Rectron capacitors, whatever the name was. Then you have the old tube circuits where a 1-volt audio signal was impressed on a 400-volt AC line. So all the caps were 600-volt caps at a time when they couldn't make capacitors very good. And you got to replace all of those. Outside of those two, the 90s fake caps and the tube caps, there's very little that needs to be replaced unless it visibly bulges or.
Oh, I like it when my CoCo lets a little of the cap fluid out. I know it's just,
right.
Spreading it out.
However, the crusty brown stuff is just the hot glue they use to stick capacitors on the board. So that's different than cap fluid.
You see that a lot. Actually, I've seen that a lot in a lot of videos where people are like, "Oh, it's got all this gunk around it," and it's like, that's the hot glue that they put there so that the
Some
cap
of that
don't
hot
move.
glue can look pretty cruddy.
Former hot glue, we should say.
Yeah, it's just dried out crust.
Well aged hot glue.
Mature, yes, like us, mature.
Another subject would be, what did they use on the metal boxes that either stand up or lay down, that after a while they turn to a weird color? They oxidize or something.
They used a lack of expense. They used a lack of expense is what they
That
used.
weird color is called rust.
Yes, they weren't properly plated. They were just kind of cheese flashed, and that blew away.
It's actually not that hard to re-nickel plate them.
Wouldn't it be easier just to kind of buff them
Well,
out?
it's not important other than looks.
It's not important unless you have a showpiece.
Right.
Yeah.
Electrically, it doesn't matter. That's why they didn't worry that much. It's a 7-year computer and just a flash of, whiff of nickel on the top. It's fine.
And also, by the way, on your discussion, it has been brought up in the
Reefa
comments there about Reefa caps. I don't care.
Reefa caps are just
that's
evil. They
always
aren't
the
even
first thing.
capacitors.
If you've got Reefa caps, change them because I will always say that. That's always my first thing when it comes to a reefer cap. Change it.
They put extra smoke in those.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very hard to get the smoke back into them after they let it out.
When you call them a reefer cap, is that reefer? That's not marijuana, is it?
That's reefer.
Yeah, that's the brand, is it? The brand of the capacitor.
No, it's a type of capacitor.
It's a type of capacitor.
It is a type of capacitor, all right.
It's an AC protect-you-all thing that dies.
I thought it might have been a brand.
And the problem with them is that the plastic on the outside of them cracks, and then they explode.
There's moisture in.
And
they turn into little detonators. Is
Yep.
what they turn into.
They explode and they spew crap all over the inside of your computer, and
I mean,
they smell
if they were
very bad.
They were there for safety. CoCo never had any.
Nope.
Right? No, we didn't need those.
We didn't need no stinking reefer caps.
Just don't drop any nickels in the slots.
Apple II power bricks are very
generally
famous for
switch mode
exploding
power
constantly
supplies.
with the reefer caps.
Yeah, the model, the Aztec power supplies in the model, 3s and 4s.
3s and 4s, yeah.
Presentable.
I have video of mine.
There was also
smoking.
one on the output side of those power supplies. There was always one cap that always burst and went bad, and we were changing those back in the back in the 80s. We were changing those things, those caps.
Is it true that your computer can still run after that pops?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, depending on what it detonated.
Yeah,
Mine didn't.
Yeah, some do.
Well, it potentially could blow the fuses or something like that. But
if it fails to open, then no harm done. It will still run. You just don't have any AC protection, which is what a lot of people do. They just remove the dang thing. But if it fails shorted, then you have a fire.
And is the smoke really blue?
Good question. You want to pop one?
Well,
Let us
I
know.
have some video of my Model 3 going up.
Is it
bluish.
smoke?
Yeah, it's a bluish white smoke.
Bluish
it is. Okay.
There's tinge
we
of
know.
blue in it.
There was a video on Amigo's Aaron there. He had his Apple II GS out, and it popped in the middle of the stream. Nice little smoke show there. That was, I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Somebody's
thing
going to
is-
make a compilation of those.
and it takes a while to air out your room afterwards.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're strong. And
smells
there
kind of like
oil-
rotten fish.
rotten fish. That's it. Is there actually oil in the capacitor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Fish oil.
Probably. That's probably
Yeah,
the
it does smell
electrolyte
like
that
it.
we're using.
So you can't just put WD-40 back in there and turn it on.
Tying it
And
back up.
it's a real pain in the butt to try to scrub it off the board after it explodes. So
I suppose
change it
after it
before.
explodes, it's not tiny bits of tin foil, it's atomized tin that is exploded out of the cap and lands wherever it lands. And
Yeah.
good luck with cleaning that up because it just got turned from metal into vapor and sent out
everywhere. Yeah, I remember when I first bought, I got an Amiga 4000, which I bought from someone who, it was a bit faulty when I bought it, and it always smelled of fish. Whenever I turned it on, it smelled of fish for a couple of years. Finally, that fish smell is gone. So yeah, it must be fish oil that was. It must have had a blown capacitor at some point, and it stunk the power supply every time you turned the computer on. The fan had come on, and it would just be blowing fish smell in the whole room.
Yep. That's
And now
blowing
it's-
reefer cap.
and now it's dried out, and as
It's
long
dried
as it
out. Now
stays
it's-
dried out and doesn't collapse and short itself
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
life
it's
is
all
good.
right now.
And then someday
fish
there will
is
be
dead. Dead
different
fish.
smoke.
So here's the
Yeah.
discussion topic. What's better, the smell of a blown reefer cap or the smell of Curtis soldering?
Toss up.
Our hair is pretty
That
rough.
delicious burnt hair smell.
Well, let's put it this way. Curtis soldering is only a one-time event,
Right.
whereas the caps keep coming back over and over again.
Right. That's what he'll run out of hair like me, and then it's not a problem anymore.
Well, you
So
have
with
hair in a
modern-
different place.
When you replace the capacitors that those reefer capacitors, what do the replacement or modern capacitors have in them? They don't use oil, do they? Or
Yeah, it's the same technology, but I don't know. Do you even replace? Does anyone bother to replace them? It's a
Don't they use
AC.
better plastic on the outside of them?
Well,
Or
it depends
inside of
on.
them?
I mean, there are some places that you do have to replace them. So
Probably use a Mylar cap.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like in tube sets they had the death cap that ensured that if your ground wasn't pure, it was a keep you alive thing. And the problem with it was when it shorted, it would put 110 volts on the chassis
all right.
ground and all of the knobs that were attached to it and so forth.
It'd wake you up.
but the modern
Yeah.
versions are a lot better built. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to last a lot longer.
That's what they
And
said.
that's generally
when
the
they
only
were making
computers
them.
that use a high voltage switch mode power supply, isn't it? Like not the transformers like that we have in the CoCo.
Well, the switch mode supplies, everything's internal to it. So if it blows up, who cares? You put a new switch mode supply in. But
Right.
the thing is, the old linear supplies, the only AC protection you had was the little reefer cap thing.
Right.
Keep from, and I wish I'd read it. I wish I'd known before the show came on. I'd read up about it because I've forgotten what I know. But I do remember you really need one, but you can do without it if you just want to make your old computer work. And it's all the plastic box anyway. So if she blows, she blows.
Was it keeping electrical noise from going back out of the power supply?
Yeah, there was some phase inversion malarkey and
Suppress the switching noise?
Something else. Like I say, I remember there are 3 points, and I don't remember any of the 3 at this point. That RAM problem again. I need a upgrade.
I think somebody told me a long time ago that sometimes in electronic, like stereos or whatever, that in order for them to be manufactured, sometimes they would add circuits that didn't really do a whole lot, but they were trying to add more value and sell certain
Or make the
electronic
FCC
parts.
happy?
And
9 transistor radio.
Yeah.
When only 4 of them actually did anything. The others
Really?
were soldered
It did
in.
happen?
So it was technically a 9 transistor radio. They were soldered in there, but the law didn't say they had to actually work. It just had to be there.
No, it's usually to
Really?
keep the FCC happy.
Right. So a 5 transistor radio became a 9 transistor radio because the nice ones all were. And your circuit wasn't, but hey, four crap transistors are, they don't even have to work. They just have to be there.
Yeah,
So
we used
that
to have
was-
discussions about what solid state meant back in the day when
Right.
it first came out because, it was chips, right? Compared to,
Well, especially when they were saying solid state TV, and it very obviously had this giant tube. So, yeah, what
but
does it
only
mean?
one. Only one.
Well, right, but hey, that's one.
Well, now we do have solid state TVs.
Right.
100%.
Well, no, now actually you can't buy a TV. At least you can't in the US.
No.
It's all smart TVs. It's all a computer with the TV
Yeah.
interface on it.
wait a minute, what's liquid crystal display?
Well,
It's still solid state.
No,
but you can't buy. Well, yeah, it's solid state.
But it's liquid.
Well, it's liquid. It's
solid.
It's liquid in phase transition. Yeah, but it's
Oh, don't blow your smoke at me with all those big words.
But they
That's
used to
liquid.
have, for a long time, LCDs had fluorescent tubes in them, so they weren't solid state until
Yeah.
they actually went with LED backlights. So yeah, you could argue that we have finally gotten to actual solid state Now that we've gotten rid of the fluorescent backlight tubes and the big
Yeah.
CRT. And... Interesting. How'd we get here?
Reefa caps.
Reefa caps. That explains it. Too much reefa.
No, it was the smell of your CoCo, remember?
Yeah.
Smell of reefa. Yeah.
No. There you go. An impromptu discussion.
Right.
Okay, I missed it all. Can we repeat, please?
At the beginning of the show,
well,
it was on 3D printing. Now it's on reefa caps.
What's the big switch down by the brake pedal?
It's high beams.
Right?
They don't have those anymore.
No, starter. That was your starter.
All these
That was under the clutch.
all these people talking about how manual transmissions are millennial anti-theft devices.
Yeah.
Right?
It's in and.
3 of my 4 kids know how to drive a stick.
My wife and I both do.
Yeah, my car is a stick.
It's funny.
Really, my car is a car.
Stick shift. It should say manual because sticks are on automatics too sometimes.
Well,
My
right.
car-
But then again, I have a paddle shifter, so I have a manual automatic.
Yeah.
It will hang in first gear till the
Yeah,
valves
I got
blow out.
My cars are too small. I can't see what stick they got. They're under the seat.
So, I hit my paddles. It's a manual, but it's really an automatic with a quick lock torque converter thing.
So what's it, like
But-
3 in the tree or 4 on the floor?
But this is 6 in the paddles, so
it's a black beauty between the 2 seats.
Actually, my car's only got 1 gear, so
Yeah, my
electric.
van.
Electric.
no, it's a hybrid, but it's got a variable
Oh,
something
CVT.
transmission.
Fun.
That
Those
the
are-
flywheel grows as you go faster.
When I was a kid, I rode a dirt bike, a Rectron or something that had a CVT in it. And it was so strange. You would hit the gas, it would rev up to about $3,000, and then it would sit at $3,000. As you went faster and faster and faster. And faster.
Yep.
Just like a scooter.
It was scary as hell because I'm on a dirt bike going through a motocross course and the motor's not changing speeds. It just. I have no idea how fast I'm going.
Yeah, I remember the first CVT I saw. It was like on a little 4-wheeler, but it was like in cage. It was like a side-by-side, but it was like a single person. And this is probably about 82, 83. And it had an open CVT. And I'm like, what's that? And he goes, oh, that's the transmission. It doesn't have gears. It just changes the size of the pulleys to go faster. And I was like, interesting.
Isn't that what 10-speed bikes had?
No, they just had a bunch of gears.
No, they had a.
Yeah, you change gears on a 10-speed.
Yeah, you jump chain to another sprocket.
Yeah, but it's the same chain. It didn't.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
but
on
it-
10 different sprockets or 5 different sprockets and 2
But if you
different
think about
sprockets
it,
on the
if you
front.
think about the way that the
CVT goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just 2
Yeah.
conical pulleys that come together and pull apart.
The 6809 is a CVT. Constant velocity computer.
Transmission.
It's
Constant
always what,
velocity
5
trans-
volts?
Yeah.
Yeah, does it ever slow down? It doesn't ever slow down, does it? The only way you make the processor work slower is you don't
Oh,
feed it.
right.
Right?
Turn it off.
yeah, it goes into a sleep mode if you're not feeding it any information. So that slows it down.
So when you turn the computer on, it's always busy putting up that cursor, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
unlike a modern computer where it gets hot, it will underclock or overclock. No, we run at the speed we run. That's
Constant velocity.
We have the need for speed.
that. Right.
We have the need for
I guess you're right. Yeah,
completely
it's,
flatline speed.
So
it
if you
runs
put
at 1.89 megahertz at all times, regardless of what you're asking it to do, and you just have to gear up and down to make that 1.89 megahertz work.
Now,
So sometimes it just sits there in a loop waiting for you.
now you know how you could use different power supplies to power different things, and it'll still work even though it's like not 5 volts. It may be 6 or 7 or 4 or 3, but not maybe so much if it's lower. Is it the same with a processor or whatever? Even if you fed it more than 5 volts, it would still go at the same
Well,
clock speed.
that's where your CVT actually fits in, because a modern processor, you can raise the voltage to different places and run it harder, and then you get more frequency because the voltage is higher and it will switch faster.
So
But
it will
then
go
it
up.
gets hot and you have to slow it down because you've been pushing it too hard.
Is that what
So it's-
overclocking is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
So you
can
have to
overclock
really.
a 6809?
No, it runs where it runs. You can run it faster, but you aren't really overclocking it. It'll just burn up unless you figure out some way to do something. It's not technically overclocking. That's just running into a wall with the
It'll
gas
start.
pedal on it.
It'll start
Like what
forgetting
the
what it's
Gimme
doing.
X does.
It'll start
Go
forgetting.
lay down, dog. What?
Yeah,
So
that's
how-
dog. It's
Sloopy,
cat.
you timed that perfectly. You looked over and said that, and then a cat ran through Mark's screen.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like his cat's named Dog.
So how do these arcade machines run at 5 megahertz with a 6809?
The 609 can run at 5 megahertz.
Right. They have the part, stick a heat sink on top, and
There's different speed grades of different
Yeah,
parts.
yeah.
Yeah, the 68C09 can be run faster than the 68B09 can be run faster than the 6809.
So
So
why
but
is it we don't have a
different chips
faster
with
one in
three
our
different
machine?
Costs
because
more.
everything else is stuck to our clock speed.
Yeah.
You can't just put a faster CPU. You need
If
faster.
you put a faster
PIA.
Alright.
CPU in, you'd have to change
Okay.
everything.
Okay,
It
so
also
this
makes
guy
it-
making a new motherboard, why can't he do it there? Right, he's making
He
everything
did.
new.
Well, then the video is locked to the frequency of the video output is locked to the computer's clock speed
Well,
on a CoCo 2. So you would have to double it just to sync up again.
Yeah, going back in history though, Mark Siegel did speed up everything, and that was the basis of the design of the CoCo 3.
What the
Oh,
double
right.
speed that it could run it?
Yeah,
Right. So it runs at 189 all the time.
because the rest of the parts were upgraded to the higher speed parts to keep up with the processor running at the higher speed, which the original CoCo wasn't able to do.
Because it didn't have a gimme.
Well, because
So,
it didn't,
well, because it didn't have the parts.
it didn't
right.
have
Sorry.
faster.
The speed rated parts.
Yeah, the parts are actually in the CoCo 3 are actually rated for a full 2 megahertz, whereas they're only rated for 1 megahertz in the CoCo 1 and 2.
All right, so why not just get higher rated parts, put them into 2, and you're all
Ron,
set?
Four
Because then you
cylinder,
still have-
8-cylinder, 4-cylinder.
And in
Right.
83,
Pay on the line.
You still
back
have
in
the whole-
82, that may not have been available.
Yeah,
Oh.
and you also still have the issue of the video of the whole video set.
So it's all the ancillary parts that are
Well,
sold.
Yes,
the,
in the
the
good
video is driven by
a lot of things.
and in the CoCo 3, the clock is twice as fast as well. Instead of a 14 megahertz part, it's a 28 megahertz part to get divided down. So, basically the CoCo is a double speed CoCo 3 compared to the regular speed CoCo 1 and 2. So it has a faster clock, has faster support chips, and runs the processor at full speed.
Because it's exactly twice as fast. The video divides back down and it works. But now you would have to go twice as fast again to make a CoCo 4, if you will.
Is that
It's-
why
it's faster.
my brain runs at the 0.895? So if you say it twice, I get it.
Okay. That makes sense. You just put it on the bus twice. Make sure it's safe.
That's why I say things twice, because I forget.
Double
Wow.
double cheese
Go on the
cheeseburger, burger,
back.
please.
Let's go on the back of the bus.
Oh,
All right.
well, I
Are we
think
done
we've
with
hit
this?
Big time
the,
to put a fork in it.
we've
Push the
hit the
button.
3-hour mark. We can shut down now.
All righty.
Should all
Yeah.
say I'm sorry together.
We still have 45
We're
seconds.
sorry.
Hour mark.
Sorry.
Yeah, but we still have to show the credit and
Yep.
credits. So We'll go.
This concludes another episode of the CoCo Nation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCo Nation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCo Nation Show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCo Nation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCo Nation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server.
CoCo forever.
I was thinking of changing my name to W. Ron Delvaux, so I'd be like L. Curtis Boyle and everybody else that has.
There
names.
we go.
So it would be what? Ron Delvaux?
It would be W. Ron Delvaux.
What? Ron Delvaux?
Then I can be.
Yeah, W for his watt. Yeah, 3 watt.
Then I can
Or
be.
why?
Not quite 5 watts.
I can be ex Sloopy Malibu.
Ah,
That just doesn't roll like Sloopy X Malibu. Sorry.
Okay. Let's say goodbye.
We're a minute over. Time to say goodbye. Yeah.
We're sorry.
Everybody.
Bye.
We were
Sorry.
5 minutes late anyway today, so.
There we go.
That's
We're
All
all
right.
good.
Bye.
Bye.